in 1970, part of what lots of women artists were doing was trying to find out what makes women's art different from men's. I mean, what is this women's art? Well, in the 60s, it was, what is this black art? Why is black art different from anybody else's? Why do you have to have any special recognition because you're black? What is there about your art that makes it different? So now with the women's movement, it was, you know, what is this about your art as a woman that makes it different? So a lot of women were thinking about that. The subject matter, the materials, what is it, you know? So clearly, there are certain art forms that have traditionally been women's art forms. And one of them has been quilt making, working with cloth, weaving, all kinds of needlework. And here I have, as many people do, a family that sewed and made quilts. So I've got it in my family. So maybe I have suppressed through the years this recognition that all of these things are could be part of my art, since I've always taught them. Long before I did them in my work, I was teaching them. So what's that about, you know? So I got an opportunity to be in an exhibition called The Artist and the Quilt in 1980. And my mother told me that she would help me to make this first quilt. And we made it together, collaboration. And just one experience of doing that just sold me. It was such a wonderful experience.
Why? Why was it wonderful?
Well, it's the idea of, first of all, of combining the influence that I've had of European painters, Picasso, Matisse, you know, Monet, all those guys that they taught me to paint like at UCSD when I thought I could do the flowers and all. To be able to combine that with quilt making from my great-great-grandma Susie, you know, which was in many ways a slave experience, an art form that slave women used to embellish and beautify useful objects such as quilts. Because the African-American experience with quilt making was very much like the African who made the tools roughly and then adorned them and made them skillfully, so that things were useful, but then they were beautified. So here's something, we're going to sew some cloth together to cover ourselves because we want to keep warm, and now we're going to beautify those pieces that we sew together and make them into quilts. And so now it's an art piece, and it's useful. So I really liked that. And I thought that even though my quilts are not intended to be put on beds, I like the form of it, that you use a needle and you sew through the painted canvas, you see. I just felt that was wonderful. And once I got a taste of it, and I realized how I could make a quilt of any size and carry it myself, because I could roll it up, fold it up. It didn't have weight to it like a stretched piece of canvas that you frame. I said, this is wonderful. It was also an excellent way for me to get shows, because I could pack a trunk, you know, one of those big 44 by 44 by, I don't know what they are, 54-inch trunks. I could pack one of those trunks and put 35 pieces in it, enough for a whole show, and have a show anywhere in the country. I had to do that because other than that, I wasn't going to get shows. You know, I had to find a way to get around the obstacles, the limitations. And I could do that if my work allowed it. Whereas just one painting 6 by 6 feet stretched in a crate was going to cost more money than all of that whole 35 pieces in that trunk.